A1 is what they called him. We can still call him that as long as he'll let us. Anthony Wright was a quarterback at South Carolina and all over the NFL. And as a matter of fact, JC, you already mentioned this earlier today. He's the last quarterback from South Carolina to really make it in the NFL. No offense to Connor, who certainly had a cup of tea, but this was more like a jug of it.
We didn't do much outside of that. So basically, we just did practice, and then we did our media obligations. And then, we had our basic, we had to go to the calf to eat. And then we had our curfew. So it's not like we had an opportunity to get out and enjoy the festivities and things that was going on in the city. My family did, though. My family really enjoyed it. And they told me about it. But as a player, you don't get to do that.
It's more of a business trip, right?
Yeah, really.
Well, so that was a heck of a Super Bowl. Had to be sort of a great feeling to go out there and win it. And I know you played for 5 different teams. I remember when you started for the Dallas Cowboys. So being the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, that particular franchise, I would think that would be a little bit more pressure filled than even being a starting quarterback in college in the SEC at South Carolina. What can you say about surviving that and playing pretty well for that particular franchise and that fan base? Because there's just so much attention on the Cowboys.
Really, it was a dream come true, to be honest with you. Because I grew up as a Cowboys fan. Being here from North Carolina, really like a Cowboys fan, or you was a Redskins fan. So I was a Cowboys fan coming up. So it was kind of surreal to have an opportunity to play for them. But at the same time, when you've been doing this for so long, it was kind of like second nature to me. I didn't really see it as too big of a deal at the time. I was just playing football. And so I was given an opportunity by Jerry Jones and his family to come in and play. And so I tried to be the best of my opportunity when it was given to me.
Did you have a favorite target ever, like in your whole career?
I was just talking with somebody about this yesterday. The most underappreciated receiver that I ever played with was Derek Mason.
Wow.
Derek Mason is probably the most underappreciated receiver that I've ever played with. As far as targets, I had Todd Heap. I played with Plaxico Burress. I played with Ocho Cinco, and I played with Husman. I think every guy had their own niche. So probably the 2 toughest receivers that I played with were Husmanzada and Hines Ward. Hines probably the 2 toughest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Hines Ward, of course, played some quarterback too. Hines Ward played some quarterback in college. Going back to college, that day in Knoxville when you got hurt, I remember that team in the 1997, and I think that year Peyton was on that Tennessee team. You guys had the defense and played the defensive game, in my opinion, to pull that upset. And then just unfortunately, you went out. It's 22-7, I think, was the final. And then the season kind of unraveled from there. Do you ever think back to that and think what if about the 97 Gamecocks? Because that was a good football team. It just when you went out, it just that was kind of the straw that stirred the drink, so to speak, and that was that.
Yeah, I know. I always say that the 97 season was my best collegiate year. If you really delve into it, in 97, me and Peyton led every statistical category in the SEC. Pass completion, touchdown. We was 1 and 2 in every category. So it was he and I that was battling that year. And, going into that game, I felt good about our chance of winning. And like I said, it was unfortunate for me to get hurt the way I did because we were, like you said, we were a good team. I think we were 5-3 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We were 5-3 at the time. We had 3 games to go. Obviously, it was the Orange Crush month, but we had 3 games to go to try to get into a bowl game, and went out there, got hurt, and it was very disappointing. I was very disappointed. Like we ended up losing our next 3 games and not making it to a bowl game, and so that's kind of how that went. But I felt very good about the 97 season.
Yeah, and of course, 96, you had Deuce Staley and Troy Hambrick, and then 97, you had Troy. So you had a pretty good running game, but I always thought, the passing game was pretty on time back then, too, with both those teams. But 97, what is it? Kentucky. You played the air raid, Hal Mummy's air raid, and they came to town. I was at that game, Williams-Brice. They got up, 14-0, and you led them back and won 38-24 against a really good Kentucky team that year. So that was a nice win. Nice win.
Who was Kentucky? Was that Couch?
Yeah,
Jim Couch. Yeah.
I mean, you think about that era of QBs that you played with, man. I mean, and honestly, when it came to physical attributes, you were better than all of them, weren't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's like I told you, man. If you look at the stats, man, it was me and Peyton. He was 1 and I was 2, and I was 1 and he was 2, and so we was going back and forth the entire season. And like I said, when we finally played against each other, I ended up getting hurt. But I think that it was unfortunate because we ended up getting rid of Coach Reeves after that year. Coach Reeves, God rest his soul. We got rid of him at the end of that year and brought in Chuck Reedy. And Chuck Reedy came in with this high school offense for my senior year and didn't pan out. So,
yeah, I remember you guys switched up at Ole Miss that year. You went from I thought that was a disaster of a hire. I'll just be honest. I thought it was one of the worst mistakes I've ever seen.
Oh, it definitely was.
No offense to him or anything, but
from your perspective as a quarterback, walk us through that transition. I mean, we're obviously we don't want to throw people under the bus or anything like that, but what did you go through there?
It was hard, man. It was tough. He came in with a different philosophy. I think he had coached at Clemson before. I think he had coached at Baylor, just got fired from Baylor or something like that. And he came in with the Clemson offense from 1980s, and we were trying to run the ball. And I'll tell you this story. This pretty much sums up the whole season. We were playing Ole Miss, and I think at the time we were like 1-3 or something like that. And we went back to the Florida State offense. We had 4 wides. We were throwing the ball up and down the field, moving the ball up and down the field. And I remember this one particular play. We was on the 1-yard line coming out, right? So we backed up on the 1-yard line, and we got in triple I. And we handed the ball off to the last guy. And guess what happened? He got safety. So we ended up losing that game, mind you, by 2 points.
30-28. Yeah, I actually saw your last game at Death Valley against Clemson, 28-19. I actually went to that one. That was a pretty easy ticket, but I remember you. I don't know if this was your last touchdown as a Gamecock or not, but I remember you scored first drive on a bootleg run in that one, and went up 7-0. The game just didn't work out. So did you ever think after you left South Carolina, walk us through kind of how you obviously you went undrafted free agent, got yourself after a tough finish to your college career, really tough, and got yourself ready to be a professional quarterback. Do you think maybe some of that adversity made you able better to deal with the pressure and the professionalism and discipline and all that good stuff that it takes to be a pro quarterback?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, once again, I got to give my good credit to Coach Reeves. He really taught me how to be a quarterback. And so after that last game against Clemson, we were 1-10, and I didn't know which direction my career was about to go, and I didn't know if I was about to get a regular job. So I got invited to the combine. And I went to the combine and did really well. I did so well. Now, mind you, the year that I came out, we had it's probably one of the most loaded quarterback years probably in the history of the draft. We had Culpepper, we had Donovan McNabb, we had Achilles Smith. I think we had like Cade McBrown. We had Tim Cowles. We had a bunch of guys, right? And so go to the combine and I do well at the combine. But I end up failing my physicals. All the doctors failed me because of my my knee.
Mhm.
So I had some teams that were going to draft me late first round, second round, based off my performance at the combine. But like I said, they failed me on my physical, and I ended up going undrafted free agent. And it's kind of my career kind of went like I was like I said, I was fighting, scratching and clawing in the NFL, but I lasted and I made it. So
That's
Yeah.
long time, longer than a lot.
Uh,
You keep up with South Carolina football now with Coach Beamer and what they're doing?
yes, I do. Matter of fact, I go to all their camps. I take my son to their camps. They run really good camps. I went to their camp, and I went to a couple other camps. And the one thing that I'll say about the South Carolina camp is it was very competitive. The guys get into it and they compete, and so it's probably one of the better camps that I've been to when it comes to competition. We also took my son to, like I said, a Clemson camp, and it's nowhere as competitive as Carolina camp. Our camp is way more competitive than the Clemson camp.
Anthony, I are you short on time, or can you hang around with us for a little bit, or you have somewhere to be?
Yeah.
So we've got a break that's about to come up here in a couple of minutes, anyways, and I want to kind of stretch that conversation about camp, your son, Coach Beamer, how much this place has changed since you've been here, and a couple of other things that we certainly have to get to with you. But so, Phil, why don't we go ahead and hit this break? We'll get this out of the way, and then we'll come back and we'll just end up wrapping this thing up with A1, who, by the way, soon will be launching the A1 Quarterback Academy, which if you want to be a quarterback or you know somebody that does, it might be a pretty good place to start. So we're certainly going to get into that. So hang tight. Former quarterback Anthony Wright will continue on with us here on Inside the Gamecocks when we return.
I want you to take me to Disney World.
Horror.
Calm down. JC is here. As y'all know, folks, the family and I have visited Disney World many times, but it can be overwhelming, especially if it's your first time going to the most magical place on earth. I highly recommend WhereThisRoadLeads.com and my friend Cherie, a certified Disney vacation planner. That's right, the mouse has given her permission to book your family vacation hassle-free. You don't know where to go, don't know where to stay, don't know where to eat, don't know what to do. It can be overwhelming. So get on WhereThisRoadLeads.com and schedule your free consultation right now. She can help you out. The prices are very reasonable. You don't pay any extra fees. In fact, she's much more reasonable maybe than booking it straight through Disney. So for your next Disney vacation, or, more likely your first, so you don't panic, go to WhereThisRoadLeads.com and talk to Cherie, certified Disney vacation planner, a partner of Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Electric Bikes of Charleston offers the most fun you'll ever have on two wheels. The home of Aventon, Velotric, Magnum Bikes, and more, they sell to consumers all across the state and offer outstanding warranties and service after the sale. Their electric bikes are equipped with 5 levels of pedal assist plus a throttle, so you can ride longer, handle the heat better, but still get great exercise. Bikes are available for all ages and sizes. Visit electricbikescharleston.com or stop into their store in Mount Pleasant if you're in the Low Country. Electric Bikes of Charleston, powering Inside the Gamecocks, the show.
Hey, Mo Cowboy here from Carolina Gamecocks. You're listening to Inside the Gamecocks, the show with JC and Phil.
Welcome back to Inside the Gamecocks, the show, everybody. Yep, I got to get everybody turned back on here after that crazy little break that we take.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
If you don't mind.
No,
Totally
I
up to
know,
you, though.
right? Yeah, there we are. Hey, everybody, welcome back.
Hey,
I know. Too many buttons to click on that last one, man.
we owe a major apology. He had to sit through JC's clown commercial for Disney World, and so we're
I don't
terribly
mind.
sorry about
It's,
that.
it's a bit more performance art than it is promo, Anthony.
hey, Anthony.
Yeah.
This is I as good of a career as you had. You're what are you 46 years old? I mean,
Yes.
you Brady just retired. What are you doing?
I'm playing football. So
It's crazy. How do you were a quarterback in the league for what, 10 years?
yes,
How do you play in the NFL until you're 45 years old?
you got to have good protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's good. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, tell him
No
Anthony, it
doubt.
doesn't matter because he lost to y'all anyway.
Yeah.
in the game that mattered.
You beat him. Yeah.
Spoiled that perfect season.
So about your son, I just watched some film, Charlotte Country Day, class of 2025 quarterback, correct? Khalil.
Yeah. Yes.
He throws a ball. It honestly looks like you throwing the ball. That same kind of arm delivery, smooth release, all that good stuff. So tell us how he's performing and any schools looking at him. Is he planning to camp some places this summer and all that? Let's because I definitely think he's on the radar. Based on the film I watched and some of the talk out there. Just kind of talk about his game a little bit.
Well, he's he's coming along really, really well. My thing was I wanted to make sure I was patient with him. I didn't want to rush him. So I've been working with him for a very long time. He probably gets tired of me talking about football with him, but he doesn't seem like it. But we could be sitting here watching a game, and I may stop the television live game and rewind it and talk about it, right? And talk about what you should be reading, seeing the safeties, seeing the rotation of the safeties, understanding the protections, understanding how to change the protections, understanding the run game. So we get very intricate in the details of the game. But he's coming along really well, man. I'm proud about where he is. He has very good work ethic. He looks good right now. He's 6'1", about 185 pounds.
Wow.
The other day, tell him he's repping out 200 pounds for about eight reps.
Ooh, that's strong.
Yeah, so he looks good physically. He's 16. So I've been working with him for a long time. He looks really good. There's some teams that has some interest in him. NC State came by, took a look at him a couple weeks ago. Elon came by, took a look at him. East Carolina came by, took a look at him. He been followed on Twitter by Tennessee. Tennessee has some interest. So there's a few teams that has some interest, but we're not really right now focused on just continue to improve, continue to learn. There's so much to learn in this position. There's so much experience that he has to go through in order to be good. And so I just want him to continue to learn, continue to get the experience, continue to listen to what I say. The funny thing about it is, as a dad, sometimes you got to get that same word coming from somebody else, right? So
yeah. Sometimes
I get someone else. Matter of fact, we're going to go to Alabama this summer and work out with a guy down there. He's a guy that I met at the Manning camp. We did the Manning camp last year in Louisiana, and it was hot.
Oh, yeah. Louisiana in the summer, boy.
Well, I tell you what, it is so neat to hear a dad who actually, he knows how to teach quarterbacks more than likely because he was a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And you have these other dads out
You
there.
have some guys
and all types of sports that feel like they know everything in the world, right?
Yeah, you got to watch those
Then you
guys.
have one like this who actually understands it. But it's interesting because it flows into the new conversation of football. How will you, or have you even thought about how you will handle things like NIL and the transfer portal with your son?
Honestly, I haven't gotten into too much depth with it. I kind of know about what's going on. Obviously I watch news and I read articles about it. So I know a little bit about it. But right now, our focus is I want him to be good. That's the focus. The focus right now is that I want you to be good enough to where any field you step on, you could be the best guy on the field. And we'll let those other things, the NIL, the transfer portal, we'll let those things work themselves out.
Yeah.
But you got to step on the field to impress the coach that you're playing for. And that's kind of our main goal right now. And like I said, we'll deal with the other things when they come.
You're starting some quarterback training, or you have been doing some quarterback training, not just with your son, but in the Charlotte area.
Yes.
I think that's tremendous. You know, to Jamie's point earlier, you know, I covered recruiting on a national level for about, until about 7 years ago, for about 15 years. And they're just some folks, a lot of folks that have a wealth of knowledge that really get the best out of their quarterbacks. And there's some that don't, I don't know why they're in it, because they don't have the experience to do it. Right. You definitely seem, with all your experience and all that, you definitely know your stuff. How is that going? What caused you to kind of get into that and share and with other people and, give back to others and all that good stuff at this stage? Because, it sounds like something that everybody in that area that wants to play quarterback really regionally could take advantage of. There just aren't too many people out there that were starters in the SEC, potential second-round draft picks, and spent 10 years in the league. And like you said, all the rotation of the safety, pause of the tape, all that good stuff. Not a lot of coaches did. A lot of 7-on-7 these days, So can you speak to that and kind of what you have planned and what you're up to in terms of teaching the quarterback community at large?
Well, it's a passion of mine. That's what it is. It's a passion, and the reason why it's a passion is because when I came out of high school, I didn't know a lot. So I remember coming out of high school and playing the Shrine Bowl, and I started, but I didn't play well. And I didn't understand why I didn't play well. And then I played in the first All-American Bowl that was in Pennsylvania. It's now like the Army All-American Bowl, I think now.
Yeah.
I played in the All-American Bowl in Pennsylvania, and I started in that game as well, and I didn't play well. And I got to a point where before I came to South Carolina, I was kind of questioning myself as to if I could do it. Because here I am now. I played in these All-American games, and I didn't play well. Well, going back to John Reeves again, my second year at South Carolina, Coach Scott brought in John Reeves. And John Reeves taught me coverages. He taught me defenses, and he taught me how to study. And those things were the difference. That's why I didn't play well, right, in those All-American games, because I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know what I was doing. I had never been coached. I was raw. I was a raw talent, and I didn't have an understanding of the game. And so me having that experience is the reason why I started this academy, why I started training quarterbacks, because I didn't want these younger quarterbacks to go through the same things that I went through. I want them to be ahead of what I was when I was in high school. I want them to know coverages. I want them to know cover two. You can't throw a hitch in the cover two, or you can't throw a comeback in versus two-man, because that guy's going to be sitting under that comeback. You got to understand what you're looking at, and then that's going to slow the game down and make it easier. So that's my passion, is being able to get that knowledge, get that information to the younger kids so that they can be ready to play when it's their time to play.
That is awesome. I love when we have quarterbacks around here. We've done this a lot, guys, with Perry Orth in the past. I've done this with Steven Garcia. You hear these quarterbacks talk. It's amazing that y'all actually know what you're talking about, and all the 80,000 people sitting there. They generally know more than you on Saturdays, but during the week, you somehow know what you're talking about. But Anthony, I want to transition that over a little bit. How would you, this is kind of a two-part question, so I'll let you take it and run with it. This is probably something that people are going to be very interested in. How would you, former Gamecock quarterback, former SEC quarterback, former NFL quarterback, describe current quarterback Spencer Rattler And why would Spencer Rattler want to play? I don't know how much you know about the new offensive coordinator and Dowell Loggins, but he did call plays and coach quarterbacks for 11 years in the NFL. So what is he going to be learning from this guy with that, bringing that much experience from the NFL level to South Carolina?
Well, first of all, I think Spencer is very good. He made some throws last year that were like handoffs and dropped in the bucket. You got to keep running. Don't slow down. Run right in, touchdowns. And those are elite throws. When you start talking about the NFL guys, the coach that he's going to get is going to be a lot more intricate, a lot more detailed. And what I mean by that is a lot of times you got to know your fronts. You might have to check run plays. You might have to go from run to another run based on the front that you see. So if it's an over front or if it's an under front or if it's a bare front, whatever front it may be, you may have to check out of that based on the play. You have to know your protections. A lot of times, like I said, I don't know if this is what the coach is going to do, but a lot of times you have to know your protections. So I have to know if the Mike and Sam are coming, if they are my hot, or if I can change the protection to pick that up. And then if I do change the protection to pick that up, then I have to also let the next man know that he may be hot on the other side. So it's a lot more control that's involved when you start talking about higher levels of coaching and education. So I don't necessarily know exactly what coach is going to do, but I do know that when you get into the NFL, those are the things that are required of you. You know, you're required to know what the fronts are. You're required to be able to redirect protections. You're required to be able to see things that a lot of college players can't see. And so, you know, and which is good because it prepares you, right? It prepares you for the next level. The thing about it is it takes a lot of time, right? It's time consuming. So you have to sit there, you have to study, and you have to study some more. And so you have to be dedicated to your craft in order for that to work out well.
Can I follow that up real quick, guys? Because I often, you know, we just went through, you know, a couple of years with Coach Satterfield, who's now moved on to Nebraska. And one of the things that was talked about towards the end of his tenure here, and certainly in whom they were going to hire, Anthony, was quote, dumbing it down. You can bring the NFL stuff to the collegiate level, but you need to dumb it down in order for it to kind of work, because not all these guys are going to the league. What does that mean exactly?
Exactly what I just said. So basically, not giving them all of that. So I may just give you runs where you don't have to. I may not allow you to be able to change protection. You know, I just keep it simple. If this guy comes, you throw hot. Instead of being able to change the protection, pick him up. Okay. We're just going to keep it simple and say, okay, if that Sam linebacker blitzes, throw hot. Don't change the protection. Throw the hot. Right?
So like the difference between like the fast break, the Florida State offense, and whatever Coach Reeves brought with him from Florida. So that would be kind of more what you did at South Carolina when you, or were you guys a little more advanced than that during your college career?
What we did, now that I think about it, a lot of stuff that we did was very simple.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if the free safety came in a blitz, I threw a sight adjust. I wasn't changing the protection to pick that up. Right. I wasn't. I just threw the sight adjust. If the Mike Sam came on a blitz, I just threw the hot. I wasn't changing the protection to pick that up. I didn't really know fronts until so I wasn't. I didn't have to come to the line of scrimmage and determine if it was an over or under front. All I had to do was run the run play. You know what I mean? So it wasn't as intricate as it is in the NFL.
How many hours a week in the NFL would you say you have to put in to get all that down pat?
Oh man. Oh man.
What's your job?
It's your job. It's your job. Especially, see, that's the thing. See, that's the key. The key is a lot of these young guys don't understand that that's their job. Okay. They're still treating it like they're in college. They're still treating it like they're in high school. Like, no, the amount of hours that you got to put in, the amount of study that you got to put in, you have to almost be the offensive coordinator. Like you and the coordinator have to be like this. And what they don't understand is a lot of those pro coaches like never even leave, even college. But those guys never even leave the office. Like I had coaches in the pros that had beds, they had blow-up beds in their office. Like sometimes they didn't even go home. So they had to spend that much time. Think about it. You had to game plan for the next day. You had to watch the practice for the day you had. You had to break that down. Then, like I said, you had to prepare for the next day's practice. A lot of those guys never even go home during the week. Now, I had coaches that finished work at 1 o'clock, but then had to be back in the building at 5. Let's just say they lived 45 minutes away. So that's a 45-minute drive home, then that's a 45-minute drive back. It's an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. So a lot of those, so really as a quarterback, if you really want to be successful, a lot of those guys, like I saw something on Drew Brees where Drew Brees, before he broke one of his records, the team had practice. They did all the practice, and then he stayed after practice on the field for like another 2 hours, going through the script again by himself, just walking the script, calling the play out, seeing it, visualizing it in his head, and knowing what to do. Like that's the kind of time you got to spend if you want to be great. And that's one of the things that I tell my son all the time. I said, listen, if you want to be great, if you want to be good, I need you to understand what you're getting into. I need you to understand that this is what it's going to require. If you really, really want to be good, you're going to have to like. And I tell them this all the time, and I kind of mean it, and I'm kind of joking at the same time, but I really kind of mean it more than joking. I tell them all the time that you're going to have to kind of be a square, bro. Like, you can't be that it guy. You can't be that Johnny Manziel guy. You can't be that guy to say, I know Jay-Z, I know, I don't know, Timberlake. You can't be that guy. You got to be that guy that you got to stay locked in and focused and do and handle your business.
But can you be the guy that knows Darius Rucker?
Now you can know Darius Rucker.
Okay.
All right.
So if people want to get in touch with you to get involved in A1, is there a website? How do they find you?
Well, right now, I've got the website developing. I'm developing also my YouTube channel. But right now, my Instagram is Big Wright, BIGWRIGH 2. So it's Big Wright number 2, BIGWRIGH and the number 2. That's my IG. And then obviously my Twitter is Mystery2222. So my Twitter is MYSTERY 2222.
Well, and we'll keep promoting that. And you can always come on this show. I mean, we'll stay in touch with you, and we'd love to. As a matter of fact, if you want to come talk ball anytime you want to, and just use it as an easy way to promote yourself, do it, because we love to talk ball around here. I have one more question, or actually, I think 2 more questions. I do want to get your Super Bowl pick.
Okay.
But this is a tough question to ask, but I do want to ask you. A few years ago, you had a horrible thing happen to you, and you survived.
Yeah.
How's that changed your life?
Well, it's actually strengthening my foundation.
Yeah.
It's strengthening my foundation. You know what I mean? I my belief system. I know that I'm here for a purpose. I know that I'm here for these kids. I'm here for my kids. I'm here for the rest of these kids that I can help. And so I tell people all the time, I'm never, I don't regret it, right? I don't blame anybody. Right? I don't walk around here with feeling bad about feeling sorry for myself or feeling upset with something. But I know I'm here for a reason. So I'm gonna make sure I capitalize on that reason.
Well, I tell you what, Gamecock fans sure are happy to see you. And you are welcome here anytime you would like to be. As long, wait, hold on just a second. Phil, is A1 allowed on our program more than once, or You're the gatekeeper.
Open invitation anytime,
Oh, okay.
Anthony. Open invitation.
Thank you.
Who wins the Super Bowl this week?
Super Bowl.
You know what's crazy? I think that it's going to be which team has the ability to score the most points. And if that's the question, I would have to go with Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good point.
You know, you can't pick Philly having played that many years in Dallas, right?
Man, Philly, man. But, man, trust me, many times. But it's not because of that, though. It's not because of that. I just think Pat Mahomes, those guys can score more points. They can score more points. He's a magician. But at the same time, again, Philly has a good defense. I think the Eagles' offense is a little more conventional.
Mm-hmm.
I don't is as explosive as Chiefs is, but at the same time, you know, when you got Pat Mahomes on the other side and he's running around and making backyard throws and acting like he's about to run and then flipping it at last minute for touchdowns, like it's hard to beat that.
It's hard. Yeah, the Bengals found that out last week, man. Bad. So, well, man, we appreciate it, man. It's been an honor.
Absolutely.
And good luck to your son. And we're looking forward to talking to you soon, man.
And I appreciate you guys for having me, man. And I wish you guys the best.
Thanks so
you
much.
too.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
man.
Thank you.
One of the best,
Anthony
best
Wright.
quarterbacks to ever play at Carolina, right there, and proved it in the NFL, and kind of a picture of how to overcome adversity, both on and off the field, in my opinion. Great question there at the end, by the way, JB. And we're overtime, so
Yeah,
it's kind of overtime on a Friday. Don't we get paid time and a half for
if
this?
it's someone like A1 that keeps you OT, it's all right. I'm
With that. Yeah, we had to.
You know, I mean, if it's like Whittle or something, no, I'm not going a minute past one for Whittle.
What about Coach O?
No, no, I'm not. But we will. I'll get with y'all and we'll get some stuff together. So occasionally we can throw up some graphics for him to help build
absolutely
his quarterback.
And I know a lot of parents out there whose kids play, and a lot of them play quarterback too. And they're in the Charlotte area. Actually, one of my buddies, Skip, his kid's a quarterback. So I'm about to hit Skip up and be like, "Hey, man, remember?" Because Skipper used to go with me to the games when Anthony played in '97. We were in college, and we went to a lot of games together that year, and he knows exactly.
Well, and JC, there's some excellent quarterbacks in the Charlotte area in addition to his son, and I'm almost anxious to see or find out down the road if any of them are walking through the doors of the A1 quarterback academy.
Yeah.
Because we might be able to get a little inside scoop on some of the guys that Carolina's recruiting, and hopefully they will be recruiting his son. It's been really neat to see this over the last few years. I know we got to go, but we watched Deuce Staley's son play South Carolina. I know Brandon Bennett pretty well, and watching his son Braden play up at Coastal. You've got the A1 deal going on here. I saw Zola Davis's kid play when he was at Wando just a couple of years ago. All the guys I grew up watching, now all their boys are coming up and playing football. It's making me feel pretty old pretty quick. So pretty cool stuff. But that was great. I'm so glad he said yes to coming on and chatting with us. Thanks for allowing it, Phil.
Oh, yeah, I'm always happy to have somebody worthwhile on.
Oh,
yeah. Former quarterback.
Yeah, these people are coming back. It's like having people inside suites won't make stadium louder.
JC, don't let it ruin your weekend. That was we'll talk.
Carolina's 13th out of 14th in the SEC in suites. Does that mean that Georgia's not Auburn and LSU aren't loud? Because people inside suites.
15th beer at Applebee's coming up for JC.
Yeah, about to start at number one. I got to get to Applebee's, y'all.
That's it. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks, JC and Phil. Appreciate you letting me be a part of it, as always.